everybody. First off, before we go any further, tell me you didn't love Jeffrey's Uncle Tony. I think it is Uncle Tony from this point out for sure. I loved it. Hey, it has been so fun watching you guys and watching how you've been playing full out. This is an unbelievable experience in watching you. I'd love to know who in here is new and who's part of the family. Put it in the chat if you're new or a part of the family. Yeah, Uncle Tony. I love it. Because here's what I know. Look at this. New family, new. Oh my God, so many new people. Raise your hand if you're new. I can see a bunch of you. Wow. Amazing. In a minute, I'm going to talk about, and I mean this with all sincerity, my life before Tony Robbins and my life after Tony Robbins. I guess that's BF and A, or BT and AT. It really was a transformative line in my life. Who feels that after this weekend, if you're new, that this is a shift? It's already started. And I'm blessed to say that it was 27 years ago when I first met him through an infomercial. So thanks for that, Tone. I'm glad you gave me a shot. But here's what I know. If you're still here and playing full out, you know that we're supposed to do more. We're supposed to make more. We're supposed to love more. We're supposed to have more joy, more happiness, more connection. We're supposed to contribute more. I believe if we're here, we might be from over 150, 160 different countries, different languages, different backgrounds. Some of you are up in the middle of the night, different everything. But one thing is we know we are all meant for more, and we don't want to settle for someone else's life. Isn't that true? Raise your hand if you know you're meant for more, right? That's the one thing we have in common. And in my life, there hasn't been anybody, and this is a true story, that's allowed me to see a path, to see patterns to success more than Tony Robbins. I got to tell you a quick story. Then here's what my job is today. In about 15 minutes, a lot of what you learned this morning from Tony, and if you're a part of Tony's family, you understand what he shared this morning. About 20 years ago, I turned into a tool that we're going to do on the whiteboard here in about 10 minutes. And I literally do it every month of my life. And I equate this to the biggest game changer in my entire life. It keeps me focused. It keeps me to accelerate. It keeps me to have momentum. It keeps me to be disturbed with my own inaction. It reminds me of why and who I'm supposed to be, not who I'm settling to be. Would you guys play full out with a 10-minute exercise like that with me here in a few minutes? Awesome. You know, because the last thing we would want, and I was talking about, the last thing we'd want is to get to Monday and fall back to old patterns. And that's why you come to something like this. This is why you stay plugged into something like this. But let me just back up really quick. Tony Robbins, 27 years ago, I buy his product off an infomercial. The first information product I ever bought in my life. I devoured it. And some of the things you got this last couple of days, I got. I knew I was meant for more. I knew life happened for me, not to me. I realized that my story could shift, that I could change my past, that I could actually use my past as wind, that I could appreciate the craziness I went through, that I could blame my parents for the bad, but more so I could blame them for the man I had become. Everything shifted in my life just like that. And maybe like some of you, I wrote in my journal, I want to meet that man someday. And I went on and had more success than I could ever imagine possible. And like Tony said, a decade ago, we got to meet. After we met for an hour and a half, a week later, I flew down to his house and we spent the whole day together. And since then, I've met a lot of incredible people in my life, presidents and billionaires and some of the most successful people in the world. And I'm not saying that to brag, just true. But there's another thing that's true. Sometimes you got to be careful when you meet your heroes. I've met the guy that writes book on compassion, and he yelled at the waitress. I've met the guy that's the time management person, late for an appointment. And that's just minimal. You can imagine how it goes to another side. But I want to tell you what I love so much about Tony Robbins, and then I had the chance to meet his beautiful and amazing wife, Sage. He's more the man you think he is behind the curtain than you could ever imagine. He does more in the invisible. You could feel his heart. That heart of El Torito in that story, now he has the opportunity to feed 1 billion people and plant trees and help kids in slavery. He does so much, and his heart is so full, and I am so grateful to be his brother and friend. So if we could give it up for Uncle Tony. I know he's watching. Okay, so let's get to this exercise. Before we do, I want to share this. One of the biggest shifts in my life is I went to a family reunion with my family. My mom was there with my stepdad, Lenny. And Lenny had been my stepdad since I was about 7 years old. So kind of like a dad, like a real dad, an amazing man. During family reunion, his colon burst, lost more than half the blood in his body. He was rushed to the hospital. He gets to the hospital. We all go. We all bring him there. And they don't think he's going to make it. And he calls for me. My mom's there. His other children are there. My sister is there, but he wants to talk to me. And I go in and I hold his hand, and he's really pale. And he's like, if I don't make it through this operation, I want to let you know I love you. And then the next things came out of his mouth were, I should have loved your mother harder. She's an amazing woman. Take care of her. I should have started that business. She always pushed me to start. I should have. And I said, hey, you're going to make it. Don't even. But it hit me so hard that that's where we could be at the end. He was filled with so much regret. And fortunately, he made it through the operation. He only lived a couple more years, but they had the most amazing couple of years, my mom and him. They appreciated every day. But it hit me really hard to watch that. And I said, I want to have a regret-free life. I want to get to the end and just say goodbye or feel love and know that I played full out, that I was crazy. And I do crazy stuff in my own life to help push me every day when maybe I'm not sure. And one is, I don't want to get to the end of my life and have my maker play a video of the man or the woman I could have been. That if I didn't let that fear, if I didn't let imposter syndrome, if I didn't let what I thought other people were going to think about me or that I'm too old. Imagine if you watch this video of this person that just took bold, uncomfortable action. The only thing you would wish is if I could go back. Please let me start over. And the only reason I'm sharing that, Tony has a rocking chair story that probably is the foundation of my story. But it shifted me so much, and I use that story all the time because I want to be bold. I want to move forward. I want to stay connected. I want to learn patterns. I want to do something more, bigger, like the people you saw today. And here's the cool part. If your wish is if you could go back and start over, it's wish granted. We're here. We get to start today. We could stay plugged in today. And we can make bold moves today. You guys up for that? I see you, Rhonda and Alan and Luis, right? And Cynthia and David. All right. So let's get to this exercise. When I say this exercise, if you're a part of our family or if you know me, you maybe have seen me do it before, but like going to the gym, you got to go all the time. This exercise takes everything Tony teaches from me and puts it in 10 to 15 minutes that changes everything. So let's go over to the whiteboard. So you started some of this work today when you talk about the gap and where you are in certain areas of your life. So let me just ask you, where are you? Meaning, why are you here today? Why did you come to this event? And I want to pre-frame this, and I'd love for you guys to play flat. I could see I could see YouTube, I could see Facebook, and I could see the Zoom chat. So when I say where are you, I look at it this way. All change starts with being honest. Are we blessed? Yes. 160,000 people die every day. Google it. We didn't. Are we blessed to be here? Absolutely, positively blessed every day. But it doesn't mean you're living into the man or woman you're meant to be. So you're here. Maybe it's time for intimacy in your life. Maybe it's time to find love or rejuvenate the love that you have. Maybe it's time to start your own thing. Maybe it's time to finally say no or finally say yes. I'd love to see in the chat, what are the reasons you're here? And you know what I love about being around Tony, and maybe you guys have saw it? You maybe came because of something you thought you were going to get out of this, but you're actually getting what you need. Who feels like you got some things you didn't even know you needed, right? I feel stuck. I don't want to go backwards. I'm frozen. I want to become stronger in my relationship. I want purpose. I'm stuck. Right? I'm fearless. I want to be fearless. I want motivation. I want to get unstuck. I'm languishing. Right? Then keep it going. Appreciate you being so honest. I want to recharge. I want to find myself again. Stagnation. Get rid of anxiety. Get past my limiting beliefs. Find peace. Go for it. Become the man I'm supposed to be. Growth in my relationship. Being loved. Stop procrastinating. Right? So this little tool is my hack of everything Tony and I have learned from him. And then what I've learned in my own journey in these past 27 years since I got his first training. So I'd love for you to take a little moment here and say, why are you here? I'm sure there's lots of reasons, but pick one. Some of the amazing things you're putting in. Serve at a higher purpose. Believe in myself more. Get unstuck. Continue my divine soul path. See, it's like GPS. If we're going to drive someplace, we need the starting point. And I love starting with being brutally honest. So if we know where we are, and I'm going to go through this pretty quick, then the next thing is, zoom out a little bit here, is where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Most people don't have a compelling future laid out. I know most people think you do. I watched Tony a decade ago bring someone on stage and sit him in a chair, and he'd be by a whiteboard like this, and he'd say, tell me everything you don't want out of life. Oh my God, it was like they rehearsed it. He couldn't write fast enough. Tony's sloppy writing anyway. He was writing as fast as he could. I don't want this. I don't want my job. I don't want people to doubt me. I don't want to do this. I don't want to feel insecure. I don't want. And he physically said, okay, great. He got him out of the chair, brought him to another chair, another whiteboard, and said, tell me what you do want out of life. Where do you want to go? I remember the day I was there, the gentleman went, that's a good question. You see, sometimes we're like in a fast car going down back roads with no destination, and we wonder why we can't get to the man or the woman we're supposed to be because we haven't defined what that is. We haven't defined what that is. So what's really worked well for me is instead of looking forward to who I want to become or what I want to achieve, what if you pretended it was a year from now and it was the greatest year of your life? What would that look like? If it was the greatest year of your life, what would that look like to you? If you know where you are, where do you want to go? Would it be a certain amount of money? Put it in the chat. Would it be a certain amount of money? Would it be a certain amount of confidence? A certain amount of joy? A certain amount of love? A certain amount of connection? A certain amount of belonging? Alignment? I want to speak around the world. I want to be loved. I want freedom. I want 3 million in 2 houses later. In a house with my partner, a new career, a new life partner, more purpose in my life. I want love and freedom. I want financial security. I want to build an empire. I want financial abundance. I want to be financially free. I want health. I want experience. I want love. I want more freedom. I want joy. I want growth. I want financial freedom. Leaner. I want to be more fit. I want to believe in myself again. Wow. I want growth. I want to be empowered. I want financial freedom, a loving partner, intimacy, more solid connections. I know this may sound simple, but most of us, if you've ever seen Tony share the time he took race car lessons and he was taught to not stare at the wall, right? It's a longer story. Some of you know it. Some of you will learn it when you go to UPW. It's an amazing story. And what his instructor taught him, that if you stare at the wall, you're bound to hit it. And his instructor even kept pushing his head, look for the clearing. Look for where you want to go. Most people don't know where they want to go, so therefore they're staring at the wall. I don't want this anymore. I don't want that. And what do? You run right into it. You guys are writing it down. So if you know where you are, the next thing is, if it was a year from now and it was the greatest year of your life, what does that look like? The money, the company, the love, the passion, the connection, the freedom, the courage, the confidence. You have to craft your compelling future. And you know how often you got to sell it to yourself? As often as it takes. As often as it takes. Again, you learned so much of this in the pyramid this morning. Talking about now is a simple exercise to refine it. Let's do the work. So if you know where you are and you know where you want to go, and if this is aligned because we want our life to grow, the next part is the part I learned from Tony 20 years ago. No goals, no dreams, no compelling future will work without attaching an emotion. Without attaching your heart. If you don't attach an emotion, it's just a vision board. It's a New Year's resolution. It's not ingrained in you. It's not physically part of you. You need to know your why. Now, about a decade ago, I hired a consultant. And I wanted to share this with you really quick. I hired a consultant to come in. I paid him $10,000 for a day. His name was Joe Stump, amazing guy. And I hired him in to help my students get more results. I got to tell you this story because I had no idea my life was going to change that day on another level. And he said, okay, Dean, I can help your students get more results. Do the 7 levels deep exercise. I said, fantastic. 10,000 for the day. Give it to me. My team's sitting around the table. He said, I can't, Dean. I'm like, what do you mean you can't? He goes, I got to do it with you. It's okay, let's do it. He goes, no. And he got up out of his chair, pulled up a chair right next to me. He sat right next to me and he said, no, I have to do this with you. Will you do this? I'm like, it's kind of creepy. Okay, all right, Joe, I get it. So he said to me, why would you, why are you here? Why are you guys here? He said, why would you pay me $10,000 to come here today? I said, because I want my students to have more results with my information. How do I get them engaged? He's like, great, Dean. So I asked you why. Why do you want your students to have more engagement? I think I said something like, because I want to leave a legacy. Great answer, Dean. Why do you want to leave a legacy? I want everybody in this industry to step up. Tony, I mean it. I said, Tony Robbins inspired me to do this at a big level, to serve with all of me. I want more people in this industry to see that. I don't even remember what I said. 7 levels deep, 7 questions. I don't know what I said the next couple of times. I was in my head. But I remember the moment it went from my head to my heart. I remember that moment like it was yesterday. Because when I thought I was done, the 5th time I answered, I never want to go backwards. I was like, never want to go backwards. What does that mean? And I started thinking of my mom working 3 jobs to make $90 a week and not being able to have lunch money some days and wearing my cousin's hand-me-downs and getting made fun of. And I started thinking, I hired this guy to help me with my team. And now I'm thinking about not wanting to go backwards and wearing hand-me-downs. So I started getting emotional. You know, you get the hair stands up on your arm and my team's around. So I'm like, oh, this is okay, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to play full out. I felt it in my heart. So I said, I never want to go backwards. He says, great. Dean, why don't you ever want to go backwards? And if you're a parent, you'll know this one. I said, I want my kids to have choices. Not entitled. We got plenty of those in the world. But I didn't feel like I had a choice as a child. Moved a lot. Lots of things went on. And when I said that, I'm like, I found my why. I found my purpose. I want my kids to have choices. And then I said, thank you. And he said, no, that was only number 6. It's 7 levels deep. One more. Why do you want your kids to have choices? And it came out of my mouth. I said, I need to be in control. And I couldn't help it. And I started crying. And at that moment, I'm like, what does that mean? I need to be in control. I realized my parents were married 9 times between them. I moved 20 times by the time I was 20. I had step-grandparents and step-brothers and sisters that I loved and come home in the moving trucks there. I felt so out of control as a child. In that very moment, I realized my why. Why did I work so hard? Because I want to be in control of my calendar. I want to be in control of my decisions. I love working with my brother Tony. I love making an impact. I love being with my wife. I bring my kids to school every day. I pick them up. I'm at every game possible. That is my why. I need to be in control of my calendar. If somebody said to me, if I had my daughter's game where she was pitching at 3 o'clock and somebody said to me, I'm sorry, you can't leave at 3. We got a busy day. No way you could make it. I'd die first. I'd crawl through glass. I'd chew through a brick wall. That is my why. And when I found that, it added the heart that Tony had taught me so many years prior to the journey. Because listen, if you are here because you want to make more money, great. Start your own business, great. But the first time someone says no, the first time an old belief comes in, the first time your spouse or a friend goes, oh, you're going to hide if it's money. Get into your heart. I don't care if anybody tells me, you're going to take away the fact that I'm going to be at my kids' games and take them to school and pick them up? No, I will do whatever it takes and continue to move forward. So when you attach the heart, I was like, Tony Robbins, of course, you must have that emotion. So today, again, you're learning all this. Those of you who are part of the family, you know Tony. This exercise, you see why it snaps me, and I remind myself of my why on a regular basis. So what's left? If you know where you are with honesty, if you know your compelling future, where you want to be in a year, and you attach your heart, your why, the only thing left is how. How are you going to get here, from here to here? And the way I look at it is, what capabilities do you need? Where do you need to shift your mindset? Where do you need to find courage? How do you need to move forward boldly? To find your identity, to break through barriers, to have a different state of mind, to look through a new lens, to use your past as power. How are you going to get these capabilities to bridge the gap? You're here, you want to be here, you got to bridge the gap. And I want to tell you, if anybody's ever seen me share this, I don't share this for any other reason, but it's the truth. And if Tony Robbins didn't come into my life 27 years ago, I don't know where I'd be. Because how is hard sometimes. But what's even more exciting is when you find a who that knows these capabilities, that knows how to identify patterns, that knows how to get you from here to here. And that who for me for over 27 years has been Tony Robbins. And it's such an honor to be here with and share today. And that's why I am always here to nudge you to keep moving forward, to not let this be the end, because I know the experience. I know what it was like to be on the other side of just wanting more to actually achieving more. I've had more success than I could ever imagine. And if it sounds like I'm trying to nudge you or enroll you to move forward, I am, because I know left on your own, especially where the world is going, it's not easy. And especially now in this atmosphere. Tony created the 2024 Unleash, the Total Transformation Package, one of the greatest packages I've ever seen, for a reason. Because you have the opportunity to get immediate access right away, the momentum of 3 powerful trainings. Because Tony knows when you leave this, you're going to go back to your life on Monday. And your life can suck you right back into old patterns. Can we agree that we could get sucked back into old patterns? Right? Have you ever been excited about something and you don't even know when you gave up on your dream? You're like, I'm doing this. And 6 months later you go, when did I stop? So Tony knows that. So you have the opportunity for instant access and momentum. And then you have the chance, I'll be there, can't wait to see you, to go to Unleash the Power Within. You get a front row virtual ticket from a studio that he spent over $20 million to create. It's the most interactive experience of your life. And you get a virtual front row seat. And the difference here is I hope you've been inspired for the last 3 days. This is inspiration. UPW, Unleash the Power Within, is transformation. And I just say go. If you're brand new, you must. If you've been, time to go again. Then you get the implementation workshop, because he knows when you're done, there's a lot in your journal. You guys will do a workshop to craft your 2024 blueprint. And the bonus, oh my God, influence, relationships, communication, financial formula, 4 amazing trainings. And what's so cool is you guys have the opportunity to get this today at a price that's incredible, $495. I was looking at concerts. Do you know if you go to a Taylor Swift concert, it costs about $1,000 an hour? Adele, $600 an hour. U2, $242 an hour. You can go to UPW for $10 an hour. Transform your life. Again, if it seems like I'm trying to nudge you to go all in, I am, because this is the state of mind where you'll make a decision, you'll commit to moving forward with this journey and not dabble anymore. So I'm about done here. I want to include 2 bonuses for action takers. For those already in, this will go to you. For those that take action tonight before midnight, I want to give you 2 of my most powerful trainings that I love. One I did with our new friend, Tony has friend Matthew McConaughey, on journaling. Everything in his book, Green Lights, his course, everything he does came from 30 years of journaling. So we sat here in the studio and did a training on how to journal for success, for outcome. It is so powerful. I'll make sure you guys get instant access. And number 2, ethical influence. How do you get people to say yes through service and love, not cheesy sales? 2 amazing trainings that I would love for both of you guys, I'd love for you to have both of them as my way of saying, I know what it's like to be a part of this journey. Do it. Take action. And how you do that in a moment, you'll have your last break before the end, and you go to unleash2024.com. And I'd love if you were in to say, I'm in. Just remember this. This is the last thing I'm going to say. And again, I do this with love because I'd hate for you to be a month from now looking for YouTube videos on how to feel this energy again when you can stay connected. Because if you come back in a week from now, unfortunately, this offer will be gone when that state of mind is gone. But today, you can make that decision to go all in. Guys, thank you so much for this time together. Thank you so much for playing full out. I appreciate you all so much. For those moving forward, can't wait for you to have the bonus. I'll see you at UPW. Thank you so much.